Hello, good evening, and welcome back once again to the festive version of In the Know Ho Ho as we get gearing up for the festive period and some top-class racing action here with the Racing Post and Coral. My name is Ross Brierley, and like I said, it's going to be a quiet couple of days, and then that is the calm before the storm racing-wise, as we'll be focusing on Boxing Day and the King George, a fantastic renewal of Kempton's feature event. But of course, we also have the Coral Welsh Grand National on the 27th, and much more besides. A lot of the racing, though, could be Groundhog Day rather than Boxing Day. We've got Secret Reprieve favourite for the Welsh National, Epatante favourite for the Christmas Hurdle, of course. Glenna's Oboe favourite for the King George as well. So 2021 felt a lot like 2020, and some of the big races we'll be looking at have very similar profiles at the top of the betting, but I'm sure we can find some value elsewhere as well. This is live and interactive, of course, and we want to hear from you at home. Of course, no one can go anywhere again, so hopefully there'll be plenty of you at home watching the stream and getting in touch on that chat box. It's right in front of me, and we'll get your thoughts and feelings and selections throughout the next hour or so. As I said, there's much more besides as well. We've got a hoist in your taking on Brave Man's Game once again in the Cordo Star Novices Chase. We've got a potential juvenile cracker at Chepstow as well. And like I said, a couple of nice little handicaps to get stuck into. And if you're getting involved on the Racing Post website over the festive period, we're giving you 50% off if you join up for the Members Club over the festive period as well. The first 3 months of the Members Club membership, 50% off if you sign up between now and the end of the year. So a lot to like about what we've got to get stuck into tonight. And a bit of a treat as well with who's on the panel, because I'm actually joined in the studio by the top tipsters this evening. But right to my left, he's had a shave before his big day of climbing down chimneys, delivering presents to the good boys and girls of the nation. So a very, very warm welcome to the one and only Santa Keels.
It's always the fat git who's forced to wear the hat at this sort of thing, isn't it? Yeah. So,
I mean, it looks fantastic on you.
Yeah, you wouldn't find a grumpier Father Christmas anyway, I wouldn't have thought, than me. But I'm here.
I think you fit the mould perfectly.
Oh, well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Apart from the white beard.
Apart from the white beard. But I mean, so it turns out there's not a pound land to be found in central London, so I couldn't get one for you. So I apologise about that. But Merry Christmas to you, Paul Kealy.
Merry Christmas all. Looking forward to it. Some cracking races, some disappointing fields elsewhere. But overall, we've got some really, really good racing over the Christmas period. Yeah,
it's a bit feast or famine, isn't it, for a few?
It is, absolutely, yeah. But, there's a really, really good match-up in the Novice Chase at Kempton, and there's a disappointing field for the Christmas Hurdle, but we've got a cracker of a King George, and Welsh National is one of my favourite races of the year. That looks like being a cracking race, so there's plenty to look forward to.
Yeah, you've got a pretty strong selection in that, by the sounds of things.
I have, yeah.
Okay, well, that's to look forward to as well. Of course, at the 26th to 27th, I mean, there's loads going on. There's, I think, about 11 Grade 1s between now and the end of the year, so hopefully we'll get you some winners before that. Joining us in the studio as well, next to Santa Keels, is the one and only Graeme Jingle All the Rodway.
Well, there was only one hat to go around, and Keels grabbed it when he came in. He was so desperate to be Santa Claus. You can tell just by looking at his face how happy he is to have that hat on. But yeah,
sorry, I keep looking at his face with that hat on, and it's going to crack me up throughout the afternoon, evening, whatever time it is.
I'm absolutely buzzing for it. Can't wait for it. Christmas is great, isn't it? We've got Christmas first, plenty of time to do loads of study over the next few days.
Yeah.
And then we've got a real feast after Christmas.
Yeah. But you've got kids, haven't you? So
yes, yeah, we'll be busy before, during,
I was going to say, I don't know when you're going to do your study over Christmas with kids running around the house, but
well, today was the day. You got most of it done today. So if I haven't got it right today, there's not much hope for the rest of the week, is there?
No, fair point. And I feel that eventually, Graeme, with your hair colour, eventually you'll make a cracking Santa Claus in a few years' time.
Absolutely. In a few years' time, I could be a natural Santa Claus because I just need to get that hat off Keels. I'll have to fight him for it.
You can have it whenever you want, to be honest. It's already making me feel hot.
Yeah, I think regulations-wise, I'm not entirely sure whether you should be swapping hats. I don't know what the rules are anymore. But Paul Kealy and Graeme Rodway then in the studio, and it wouldn't be Christmas without being joined for the big day by a man with the initials SC. But one of them was busy, so but luckily we've got the next best thing. It's Simon Clare.
Hi guys, yeah, I suppose if you're the three wise men in the studio, I'm not entirely sure what that makes me, a shepherd or maybe the donkey or something, but yeah. Listen, I love this time of year. I must admit, it's the one time of year when you actually get a few clear days of anticipation ahead of a major race meeting, really, with nothing to distract you beyond Christmas Day, obviously, and eating a lot of food. But and so, yeah, my memory is my first ever race meeting I ever went to was the 1988 King George when Desi won. So, and I've been pretty much every year since then, and obviously the Welsh Grand National as well. So I just love this time of year.
Yeah, it is. The Welsh Grand National, of course, it is a bit, looking at it again, Secret Reprieve potentially going to be a red-hot favourite again. I mean, it could be a fantastic race. We could have more runners in the Welsh Grand National than we've got in the majority of the Kempton card, I think.
We could, and look, I mean, I love the Welsh Grand National, like Paul. I mean, we sponsored the race since 1973, which is incredible. I haven't been to every one since 73, I might point out, but and there have been years when the race hasn't filled, because of the heavy ground and maybe just the sort of the times it's gone through. But to have this 30 entries, almost certainly a full field on the day. 4 previous winners going back there, a Gold Cup winner as well in Native River. It looks a great Welsh Grand National, even by the standards, which are pretty high over the last few years. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward.
Okay, lovely stuff then. And like I said, get in touch, please, if you are watching at home. Plenty of you. It's been we've got a real a crack bunch of viewers at home who tune in for most of the show. So it's really nice to see you, Paul Bakewell, Drew Solis. Hello to you, Jeff Askew, Sally Plotnick, Alan Keane, Chris Gibbo, DG96. Jeff Askew says, "Would Keels get down the chimney?" That's the question.
I'm no bigger than the bloke that normally does it.
And Paul Bakewell said, "Three's wise men, which is G-Rod." So I don't think I was going to weigh that out, but you talk a lot of frankincense, I think.
I'm trying my best.
And Keels, of course, brings the gold. But there we go. So hopefully we'll get some winners for you. Like I said, the fields are a little bit disappointed at Kempton. I was hoping for, there's some real quality, Keels, but obviously, there's I think 42 runners over the
Yeah,
card.
I mean, you like to see decent fields, especially for the there's a couple of handicaps with only small fields as well. But I mean, when you get quality at the highest level over jumps, you tend not to get massive fields, do you? Unless it's Cheltenham. So
Yeah.
here we are. But we got, like I said, we have got a really good novice chase, a really interesting novice chase, and not such a good Christmas hurdle. But somebody's got to win it. There's bets to be had.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you had half a winner in the fight in fifth, which is essentially the same race, didn't you? With Not So Sleepy, who comes back, and that was a decent prize.
It was, yeah, and probably be going in again.
Yeah, there we go, lovely stuff. Although back in a horse called Not So Sleepy on Boxing Day might be certainly not nominative determinism, is it? But off to Kempton first. Like I said, we've got Kempton and Chepstow to have a look at, and we kick off with the first race at Kempton, going through the entire card for Boxing Day with the Play Ladbrokes 5-a-side on football novices hurdle here, and again a fairly short price favourite and small field. Bloomfield Berg 4-7, Paso Doble 11-4, Rebelli 10-1, Black Poppy 10-1, Corrigan Rock 20's high stakes player at 33-1. From one high stakes player to another, Paul Kealy. Bloomfield Berg odds on here. There's quite a few races on Boxing Day that I imagine punters will be piling into multiples, and Nicky Henderson's charge looks like it might well be one of them.
Yeah, I mean, lots of punters do like these short price multiples. I don't see many negatives in Bloomfield Berg. I think he might be a little bit quirky, but I think he has the best form by a long way. I think that second to Lively Citizen is pretty decent form. It was in handicap company. He's going back into novice company. I don't think Paso Doble is all that good. It certainly didn't need to improve to win last time and didn't. Actually, we've had a much higher RPR the time before when he got beat. And the rest don't look up to it. So it looks a fairly straightforward opener. And this is a race that Nicky Henderson has farmed over the years with some very good horses. Altior won it, Mr. Fisher won it in recent seasons. Obviously, his best hurdlers look to be John Bonn and Constitution Hill. But neither of they're not going to need to be anywhere near as good as those two to win this.
Yeah, OK, Bloomfield Berg odds on then. And given his name, I imagine Paso Doble will set a strong pace as well, won't he?
You're full of them tonight, aren't you, Ross? You're absolutely flying on.
It's Christmas, mate. It's Christmas. Just you wait till we burst out these crackers.
No, I think I agree with Kills. I mean, the Fav should win, shouldn't he? Broomfield Berg. I mean, Henderson wins this race a lot. He's got by far the best form in the race. Maybe the main danger might be, is it Black Poppy? I think it's called, trained by Kerry Lee. That wasn't a bad race last time. The winner, Balco Coastal, has come out and won since. Looks a fairly useful prospect. If I was going to play the race, probably Broomfield Berg to beat Black Poppy.
Okay, there we go. Broomfield Berg to beat Black Poppy potentially then for this opening novices hurdle. Simon, over to you. In terms of how people are going to piece these together, again, there's so much racing on Boxing Day. Do people go for... Do you have people... how many 9, 10, 11 folds do you have thinking, please God, a few of these go down?
We have a few, certainly. I mean, I think they still tend to focus on the sort of the core, the main sort of 2 or 3 meetings. Obviously, Wetherby and Kempton are the most important, but there will be people scrabbling around trying to sort of piece together life-changing multiples. And I think this will be the start of them with Broomfield Berg. And the only thing that was quite interesting, I thought, was Broomfield Berg was beaten by a Paul Nicholls trained horse 2 runs ago, Silent Revolution, when in receipt of £7. And I was wondering, at least he'll have a vague feeling of where Paso Doble fits, in connection with him. And he was an expensive horse, €125,000. Graham Brooks, the owner, is a nice guy, and he's had a couple of nice horses. Time Black Court, obviously one of them. But I think Broomfield Berg looks strong, doesn't it? Nicky Henderson's record in the race is great, and that was a good run last time out in handicap company, giving a lot of weight away. So it looks a match to me. I think Broomfield Berg probably will win.
Broomfield Berg then 4-7 here for the opener at Kempton. We all agreed?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Okay, pretty much all agreed there. Broomfield Berg, easy does it. Let's hope it stays this easy as we move on at Kempton. Broomfield Berg for Nicky Henderson, on to Bothwell Bridge for Nicky Henderson. One of you alliteration fans here for this novices handicap chase. A bit more of an interesting betting heat for sure. Bothwell Bridge 3-1 favourite here. Danny Kerwin 7-2. Another Henderson runner in the shape of Mr. Coffee at 4-1. Killer Kane 15-2. 8-1 Sebastopol. 8-1 Iconic. Muddle 10's Your Darling, and Jackamar the outside a lot, but even he has got quite a bit of ability, although he's also got quite a few quirks as well. I know Paul Kealy's got quite a nice position on this race, but I'm going to come to Graeme Rodway first for this. This is an open little race. You've got a couple of Henderson runners who were talented over hurdles and are improving. Danny Kerwin, an absolute cracker in what looked a warm race last time out, and a few others to throw into the mix as well.
Yeah, it's always a good race, this race, isn't it? Every year it's always very, very competitive. Danny Kerwin's form looks the best to me at Cheltenham last time. Obviously, Annual Invictus won it, came out and won a Mickey Mouse race next time at Plumpton, but back on the Lastras in that race, wasn't he? Won the cross-country, and I think the 4th one since as well. So, I think that form is probably the best on offer. Of course, Mr. Coffee is the talking horse in the race, isn't he? Is he a bit of a talking horse, Mr. Coffee?
I mean,
he goes off favourite every time he runs, and he very rarely wins.
Yeah, he's one of those horses that seems to have all the ability in the world, but he can't quite put it all together.
He's like a big gangly thing, isn't he?
He is.
You think, when he gets over fence, he's going to be good. When he gets a bit older, he'll be good.
Yeah,
Well,
he's one of those horses that you're constantly waiting for to mature, but it still hasn't happened yet.
yeah, but it will happen surely at some point. We don't all stay kids forever, do we, Ross?
I mean, if I can touch wood, we do. I don't know. It's doing a very serious job here, of course.
I think that Danny Kerwin is the now horse and Mr. Coffee's the future horse, but we will see.
Okay. Danny Kerwin is a 7-2 shot. Mr. Coffee at 4-1. Of course, a novices handicap chase. You can have a runner turn up here and improve. Half a stone, 3/4 of a stone, and the future horse becomes the now horse on this day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there've been some decent winners of this in the past, and I think Killer Clown win the race last year for Emma Lavelle, and absolutely bolted up. But obviously, Glenn Forster was pretty decent. He ended up running in the Arkle. And Rajdhani Express years ago for Nicky Henderson ended up running big races at Cheltenham. So you can get something good here. Nicky Henderson had a good record in the race. I backed 2 earlier in the week. One of them was Mr. Coffee, the other one was Danny Kerwin. I think Danny Kerwin, was basically telling everybody at Cheltenham that he wanted to go the other way round as well. So it was a really good run. I think he definitely wants a right-handed track. I'm giving Mr. Coffee another chance. I think he's the most talented horse in the race, but he's probably the horse with the most quirks as well.
Yeah.
But I thought he was, his most eye-catching run of last year was when he was 4th of 22 at Aintree, went up to 2.5 mile for the first time. And I think what happened to him on his chase debut at Newbury is he didn't jump like a 2-miler. I don't think there was anything particularly wrong with his jumping. He's just not massively fast in the air, and he put in a bit of a slow one 2 out, which it would sort of put him on the back foot. But he finished the race out well enough, and going up in trip is going to suit him. Now, obviously, Nico de Boinville thinks otherwise because he's riding Bothwell Bridge. He's stablemate and favourite. And I think he probably has less quirks. I'm not sure the race he won at Sandown is as good as the one that Mr. Coffee ran in at Newbury. a not available one at Ludlow earlier in the week as well. So that the winner of that Newbury race, I think that's form. So I think one of those two will win it.
That was one of those weird races, that Newbury race, right? Where after the race, I thought that don't look a very good race, and then Not Available came out and won next time, didn't he? The other day at Newbury, was it, or Ludlow? One of those places.
It was a strange one though, because pre-race everyone said this is a great race. Then the result happened, and everyone went, "Oh, maybe it's not as good as we thought."
There was a lot of, there was a lot of money coming down for certain horses, including Mr. Coffee.
Yeah.
And there were a couple that just jumped terribly. I mean, I backed 50 ball, and it was awful, and he's been tailed off since as well. So God knows what's gone wrong with him.
Well,
so you could look at it and say, well, this race has fallen apart a little bit. But I mean, the three that finished close up, they finished fairly close up. They had a good race, and the winner has come out and won again since. So I think you can, I think you can say there are positives there. Yeah. I think one of those two will win it, but you've got to respect Nico de Boinville's choice. Although Sean Bowen's on Mr. Coffee, James Bowen rode Mr. Coffee, then I don't think Nico de Boinville was available.
Okay, interesting little race this. Yeah, and like you said, you've also got Kealy Kane to throw into it for Colin Tizard again. Pretty much, being back in the Tizard chasers, you'd have been doing all right, Simon, didn't you? Much publicised the disappointing season last year for various reasons, Kealy Kane unexposed could have a little bit more to offer. But do you think it'll be a Henderson benefit in the market here, that both horses who tend to get quite well backed?
Yeah, I think probably will be. I mean, Mr. Coffey's been probably the best back to the last 24 hours, just shortening into 4-1, still just a point behind his stablemate Bothwell Bridge at 3s. It's not inconceivable he could be backed into favouritism again, as Graeme said. He's been a beaten favourite in 4. He's been started favourite 6 times, been beaten 4 times as favourite. So it just shows you that he's always well backed. Kealy Kane spoke to Joe this afternoon, or Dave Stevens did, wrote the blog up, and Joe's a reasonably bullish person when it comes to his chances, and he said he's sort of hopeful at best really with Kealy Kane, because he was a bit disappointing last time out after a reasonably encouraging first run of the season. So not bullish at all, and I say probably going to have to improve a bit to figure here. But it's a really competitive race. I mean, Sebastopol looked like he was going to finally win a race last time, and then to a crashing fall. And actually, it was a really heavy fall. He's back out again. If he's recovered from that, I think this is his trip, 2.5 miles, and he's almost handicapped to run really well. He didn't seem to stay 3 miles a couple of times before that, but he has got that. I don't think he's a horse who doesn't try in the finish. He's just been unlucky to come second all those times. But for me, I think Bothwell Bridge, that race he won last time at Sandon was a good race. Marla's Promise, I know the owners of that horse, and they really were hopeful and fancied him that day, and he got sort of touched off with Bothwell Bridge. But so he'd probably be the one I'd go for. The 3-1 favourite, nice and original, but good competitive race.
Yeah. To be fair, we didn't talk that much about Bothwell Bridge. I had a cheeky little bet on him at Aintree. I thought he was potentially an outsider for that Grade 1 event, and he beat Major Dundee at Warwick last year. That one 190 the day of 136, second time win dop, easy win last time out, and he did look a bit of a raw, kind of unfurnished horse over hurdle. So interesting, Bothwell Bridge, interesting little race. So I'm agreeing with you, Simon. I'll also go for Bothwell Bridge, but Keels, you're hoping that that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Mr. Coffey does prove the most talented horse in the race, but him or Danny Kerwin will do for me.
Okay, and Mr. Rodway.
Yeah, I'm on Danny Kerwin.
Danny Kerwin. It is people at home in this race. And Nijinsky says Bothwell is a future national winner. Well, I mean, there's enough of them around, isn't there? Which one? The Sussex? Which one? Cracking race coming up later on, says Paul Bakewell. What of the rest of them have we've got? Not Available didn't really frank Mr. Coffey's form. He said Ludlow race was terrible. Well, I mean...
Well, he won it.
Well, he won it, yeah.
Off a higher mark than what's it, so,
Yeah, it might not be a major frank, but it's certainly a frank nonetheless. Jacquemart for Mark B as well. And Sally says de Boinville's rides on Boxing Day could all go well. So looking like siding with Bothwell Bridge there for that Novices handicap chase at Kempton. That's the 120 then. We've got another bunch of interesting novice chasers up next. The 155, of course, is the Quarter Star Novices chase. Just the 4 of them lining up, and to be fair, it's probably just the 2 of them here, isn't it? A rematch between old rivals Brave Man's Game and Ahoy Signor, who met at Aintree back in the spring, where Brave Man's Game was a red-hot favourite and Ahoy Signor was completely unfancied. But Lucinda Russell's charge scalped Paul Nicholls' charge on that occasion. But Brave Man's Game is 4-5 here, Ahoy Signor 6-5, T-Clipper 20-1, and Kilteely Briggs at 40-1. But yeah, Ahoy Signor, it's kind of come out of nowhere. I remember Tom Siegel gave a nice word for it back in Aintree when we were doing that preview show, but apart from him, I don't think anyone else fancied it.
I don't think Connections were surprised at all. I mean, they said afterwards they were just massively surprised when they got him beat the time, earlier on in the season. And, he looked really good at Newbury. If he gets his jumping together, he's going to be hard to beat, isn't he? You give Brave Man's Game the edge in the jumping department. Not 100% sure about whether he actually wants 3 miles yet. He got outstayed by a horse in your Aintree, and just watching that race at Haydock, I thought he was tying up. I thought he was getting a little bit tired at the end of it. Now, he'd obviously put in a really good performance to essentially thrash Itchy Feet.
He didn't put a foot wrong that day, did he?
No, he does. No, he just doesn't touch a twig, does he? But I had a feeling that he was getting a little bit tired. I'm not 100% certain that he's an out-and-out stayer, and I think the Horse Senor is. But it'll interesting to see what they do when it comes to tactics, because Brave Man's Game's been perfectly happy to go ahead so far this season, has he? And Horse Senor will undoubtedly do that. So it'd be interesting, whether they take them. We could easily see them jumping alongside throughout. That'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? It's certainly, whoever gets beat, it's certainly not the end of the story for them, is it? I think they're both two very, very promising horses.
Well, until they come up against the Irish Novices, of course.
Well, yeah, exactly. But we shall see. I mean, just because what happened in one festival is not, doesn't mean it's going to happen all the time. It might do for the next few years, but it might not. And just because the Irish horses were so good over hurdles doesn't mean they're going to be better over fences. It's racing very rarely works out as simply as you think it's going to. Yeah. So
there'd be no need for this show, would there?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So this year, these are two very, very promising horses who've shown they can both jump and put up decent form. And I'm fascinated to see. It's not a race I'll be having a bet in, but when you've got a horse like T Clipper, who's won his share of races, is rated 147. Remember, in a novice chase, he's going off at 25-1. That's a pretty good race.
Yeah, although admittedly, he would have finished last at Newbury, wouldn't he? T-Clipper not second last time if everything had gone to plan. But an interesting renewal. I mean, Howdy Cobden's got a question in the back of his mind now, isn't he? Because he probably underestimated in Hoisin. You're thinking 66-1 shot Hill. I've got him covered at Aintree. Very different proposition here today, but interested to see that psychology comes into it as well as the ability.
Yeah, it's an absolutely cracking race. It's one of the whole races of the day, isn't it? I can't wait for this one because I think you're looking at two real top-class novice hurdlers. I think the Hoisin is an absolute monster. I really do. I think he's fantastic horse. I mean, that run at Newbury last time, the time is superb, and he finished the race off like an express train.
Yeah, and he just kept going, didn't he?
Yeah, and he was not being hard-pressed to do so. He had loads left in the tank. It's no exaggeration to say that if he had turned up and produced that sort of performance, he could well have won the Hennessy, or whatever it's called now, the trophy.
The Ladbrokes Trophy. Yeah. Simon, what? Yeah.
The problem is here, of course, though, is that Hoisin looks like a real strong stayer. He looks like stamina. He's all about stamina. And Kempton is a 3 mile flat, tight track, puts the emphasis on speed. And Brave Man's Game, as Kealy said, doesn't look the strongest stayers, but he doesn't lack any speed and he jumps really fast. So he's going to go out and it's going to be like a battle of the two heavyweights, isn't it? Going up in front. Who jumps the best? Who travels the best? Just in my mind, I've got this idea of Brave Man's Game travelling along, pinging every fence, taking maybe half a length out of a Hoisin every fence and then turning for home, and a Hoisin being hard under the pump to keep up with him. He may well then surge down the outside and outstay him because we know he stays very well, but I know which one I'd rather be on at the top of the straight, and that's Brave Man's Game, I think.
Okay, there you go. For a second then, I thought we were in the race. That was. I want you to call them home. If the commentary's half as exciting as that was, we're in for a treat. We've got a few social comments at home as well, so good to see a few of you are watching and getting involved. Let's have a look what we've got from the boys in the gallery. Joe Holden says Brave Man's Game doesn't stay, or Hoisin to win again. There we go. Well,
he'll get 3 miles round here, I think.
Yeah, but I mean,
he
staying
might
and getting outstayed
are
two different things, aren't they? He might. It's not.
He might stay and get done by a stronger stayer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Steakhead has got in touch. Lovely. Thanks for getting in touch. Hoisin looks a left-hander. Brave Man Game wins easy. Thanks very much, Steakhead. I really appreciate that. And Roddy McKee says if a Hoisin was trained by Nichols, he'd be 1-2. Yeah, of course, there might well be a little bit of of bias coming into to the betting in that regard. But yeah, it's not often you see a full-runner race in a Grade 1, Simon, with two horses who probably won't be getting involved in the finish and say you're really looking forward to it. But I think we are.
Yeah, listen, I'm actually looking forward to it even more now. I've listened to you and Keels and Graeme talking about, which is, I suppose, is the purpose of the show. It just shows you that you don't need 10 runners plus to or even 8 runners to have a great race. This is a great matchup, isn't it? And one thing we should mention we haven't really talked about yet is the weather. The ground currently sort of good, maybe a bit of good to soft. I think Barney Clifford's been saying, but there is this band of rain coming on Christmas Day, so there won't be a white Christmas. But I think a lot of connections might be hoping for a bit of a wet Christmas, just to make the ground go back to that good to soft. And I know Peter Scudamore and Lucinda are hoping for some rain. I think they're going to get it. Touch wood. We certainly don't want this great matchup spoilt by them deciding not to run a Hoy Senor. But I think they do want a bit of cut in the ground. Should get it. And then we got the matchup. And like you said, the fact that they were completely different prices at Aintree, you're not going to get anything like that now. And to be fair to the show, Tom Siegel did give that a Hoy Senor such a favourable mention that evening before, didn't he? And I mean, I'm not sure if people took the advice. I didn't. I think it went and won at 66-1. But we got a great race. I'll probably be in a Hoy Senors camp. I think you're right about Kempton, Graeme. It is a sort of sharper track, even if the ground goes a bit good to soft. But Newbury, it takes some jumping, and you need a bit of speed around there. He does look, and Aintree, obviously, I know it's over hurdles, but it's a sharpish track, that Marmaid course. So he doesn't look slow, Hoy Senor. So I'll probably favour the underdog, or the relative underdog in this matchup.
Okay, there we go then. So a Hoy Senor then for Simon. Keels?
Just a Hoy Senor for me, just.
Okay, Rodders?
I'm with Brave Man's Game.
Okay, yeah, so am I. So there we go, 50-50, I think.
It's
yeah,
a genuine toss-up, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is pretty much, yeah. Although, to be fair, if it is a toss-up, then I should be back in a Hoy Senor at 6 to 5.
I mean, if the prices were the other way round, I'd be saying Brave Man's Game. But, it's one of them for me.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, one thing we should just remind people, actually, Lucinda Russell had a really talented horse a few years ago, Brindisi Breeze, who looked like he was going to be probably her best ever horse. And he got tragically killed in a real freak accident at home. And so, it's great, it's great they've hopefully, touch wood, got another really special horse in a Hoy Senor, and it's quite good as well when you've got a relative southern domination with the big yards to have it. If they could end up with a really top class horse up in Scotland, that'd be great for the game as well.
Yeah, although admittedly, we must say Lucinda Russell as well. I mean, recently she had a listed hurdler win at Haydock the other day. She had a handicap chase win at Cheltenham, didn't she? A couple at Musselburgh and a 6-furlong sprinter at Wolverhampton. So, I mean...
And she won the Coral Scottish Grand National with Mighty Thunder. He's got a big chance on when is it? Monday? Yeah, Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, so Paul Nicholls might be the bigger name, but give Lucinda Russell pretty much any horse and she'll do right with it, that's for sure. So,
absolutely.
A fascinating clash then at Kempton for the Quarter Star Novices Chase. That's the 155. Off to the 2:30, the Elaborate's Christmas Hurdle, a 2-mile event for the Grade 1 hurdlers, and once again Epatante versus Not So Sleepy, which again slight price differential comparison to Newcastle a few weeks ago, where Epatante looked all over the winner before Not So Sleepy battled back and forced the dead heat. 10-11, Epatante, Not So Sleepy 5-2. Tritonic with a surprise clash here as well for the 4-year-olds at 6-1. Soaring Glory 13-2, and Glory and Fortune at 40-1. The 2-mile hurdle division, Graeme, Rodway, is a funny one. We often say that there are, too many of these 2-mile events that they could go for, and it'd be lovely if they all turned up in one race. But there's a few interesting spicy elements here. You've obviously got the former juvenile Tritonic, who does have to put a poor record for his age group in these kind of events behind him, and Soaring Glory, who I think Tom Siegel, again, last time we were on, said he'd be the shortest priced British runner come the champion hurdle, and he was disappointing last time out. So is this as straightforward as it looks?
No, it's definitely not as straightforward as it looks. I mean, we've got a weird situation where Epatante is basically running about 10 or 11 pound below her best, but she's still almost capable of beating the rest of these, because when she was good, she was very good, and there's not many great British hurdlers around, are there? So I think that she's got to be favourite to beat Not So Sleepy around this track. Obviously, Not So Sleepy would go off in front, but Epatante really had him beat, and then he just come back and almost outstayed her to get the dead heat. I think this sharper track will play to Epatante's strengths, but I think we'll all be sitting here hoping that we're going to see a star emerge, aren't we? And if one of them is it's going to be either Soaring Glory or Tritonic, isn't it? And I think that Soaring Glory might be the one. I know he was disappointing last time on the face of it, but I actually think that wasn't a bad race. A lot of people said, oh, only 4 in it was muddling, tactical. I actually quite like the race. They really finished the race quite well, quite quickly. I tipped the winner of the race in the race on Saturday against Tritonic. One more for the road. And yes, Tritonic ran all over One More for the Road, but One More for the Road certainly didn't let the form down at all. And Soaring Glory actually ran the final 4 furlongs of that race quicker than the winner, despite finishing last, which tells you how much of a muddling race it was. I think with Not So Sleepy in this race, there's going to be no problems on tactics, is there? Not So Sleepy is going to go off, he's only one rail running, he's going to go off fast. That will suit Soaring Glory better than the race at Newbury, and I think he can improve.
Okay, some interesting stuff then. Yeah, Soaring Glory in a 13 to 2 shot for the John Joe O'Neill stable, and even the outside of Glory and Fortune. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, Tritonic was rated 141 when winning at Ascot, and Glory and Fortune was rated 142 when running at Cheltenham. So, and one's 6 to 1 and one's 40 to 1 after only one run. So, I mean, a lot of people will be putting Epatante in the bets. Are we overcomplicating this?
Yeah, Graeme definitely is. I think if you're looking for a superstar here, you're in for a miserable Christmas because there ain't one. End of the day, I mean, Tritonic, he's won a handicap of 141. So what? Soaring Glory's got last in a 4-runner race. He wants to get loads of cover in a strong run race. There's no guarantee that this is going to be a strong run race because Not So Sleepy will get his own way out in front. He didn't go really fast when he bolted up in a handicap at Ascot last season over 2 miles. You got to remember that Ascot race is a half a furlong short of 2 mile as well. He's not short of speed, Not So Sleepy. Newcastle is not the stiffest track in the world either. So he's not short of speed. I cannot get the difference in price between him and Epatante for the simple reason is that Epatante was basically handed the race at Newcastle and yet she didn't win it outright. He kicked the second last out of the ground. He made another mistake at the last, Not So Sleepy, and yet he still came back. Now, if he jumps cleanly, he'll win. She's not as good as she was. It's as simple as that. And I think it's a 6 to 4 each or 2 really, rather than 10 to 11, 3 to 1. I really do. It's absolutely crazy that Not So Sleepy is 3 to 1.
Okay, there you go. Paul Kealy cutting straight to the chase there. Not So Sleepy is a 5 to 2 shot. Tritonic, like I said, has to break a poor run. Not since I think it was 9. Double check. This is the problem. You make notes on things and then try and throw them in casually. I don't know why I don't just read my own notes. 1 win from 20 runners for the 4-year-olds, and that was Karawi back in 1997 in the Christmas hurdle. Simon Clare then. Keels thinks Rodders is overcomplicating it. Rodders thinks that Keels is oversimplifying it. What did you think?
I'm kind of halfway between the two. I mean,
pick a side, Simon. Pick a side. Come on.
I did. Well, look, I'm hoping Graeme might be right in a way. And actually, again, the fact that Graeme's made the case for Tritonic and Soaring Glory suddenly interests me a little bit more in the race. I mean, I think I'm with Keels in that Not So Sleepy could do a Silver Streak. I mean, Silver Streak beat Epatante last year by being given a brilliant ride from the front and dictated it. And Not So Sleepy could do exactly the same. And it's one of those tracks actually. It's quite a long open run from the turn to the second, then to the last. We see odds-on favourites get beat or turn-ups in this race, and they don't really get a rail to run against. And so I think Not So Sleepy might well beat Epatante. I mean, he's been back this evening actually from 3s into 5 to 2, and Epatante on the drift to 10 to 11 from 4 to 5. So I mean that could carry on as we get closer to Boxing Day. So Not So Sleepy, I could see the case for. But he's a 9-year-old. Tritonic's a 4-year-old. They're very similar horses on the flat in ratings terms, and Tritonic has got a decent win in the Adonis here at Kempton. I mean, albeit with your stat about 4-year-olds ringing loud in my ear. So I'm sort of hoping Tritonic might be capable of a surprise, and Soaring Glory, it was definitely a really weird race at Newbury last time. Didn't suit him at all, and I know John Joe and the team there really hope he is a horse who might be capable of getting onto the fringes of the champion hurdle class. So. Yeah, I'd be hoping for Tritonic or Soaring Glory to cause an upset, and I certainly will be taking on Epatante, definitely.
Okay, there we go then. Tritonic or Soaring Glory to cause an upset. I am in agreement with the Grumpy Santa though to my left to an extent. In the sense that I agree. I'm not sure why Not So Sleepy is such a big price, and if it's an age differential or a connections or whatever it is. But I love a horse who can hurdle like this at an Ascot or a Kempton, and he could be quite hard to peg back. So Not So Sleepy then for myself and Keels. Graeme, Rodway.
Yeah, I'm with Soaring Glory. I just think that if Not So Sleepy wins, it's just such a disappointing result, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just like, oh God, if
Other
Not
than-
So
other than
Sleepy is the
for your
best
wallet.
British hurdler around.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, does
come
it?
on.
This is what we've got. I mean, the most disappointing thing about this race is you look at, there's 5 runners in that, and you can't actually say what's missing from Britain. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There just aren't that many, and that's how sad it is for the 2-mile division so far.
Yeah. And this is the thing. I mean, you say you bet what's put in front of you, don't you? It's all well and good saying that the Christmas hurdle is disappointing, which it is. I mean, that's the main thing from all our people at home saying it's a shocking renewal of the Christmas hurdle. It says Jive Turkey.
Some great names coming out tonight.
Yeah. Well.
Steakhead,
So
Jive Turkey.
Yes.
When's the roast beef coming up?
Well, we've got a little bit of Paul Bakewell, if you like. If you like a
love a Bakewell.
like a
You'd
Bakewell.
be surprised to know.
But yeah, well, you hope Jive Turkey's. Will you be around Jive Turkey by Boxing Day?
No.
There won't be much of you left, but I would imagine. But and Simon, what wins the Christmas hurdle for you?
I think, I probably would hope. I'll probably go for Tritonic. I think just with Graeme, I'm hoping something might turn up here. Just quite interesting. Nicky Henderson's won this 6 times in the last 10 years, and every time with a different horse. Interesting, that, isn't it?
Yeah, and of course, if you had told me that stat last year, he'd have been, pretty frustrated as Epatante got beat at 1-5. So Epatante 10-11 then for the Christmas hurdle at Kempton for the 2:30. Then we are on to the feature of Boxing Day. The 3:05, of course, is the King George, and we've got a cracking renewal here with Manella Indo just edging favouritism now at 11-4 for Henry de Bromhead and Rachel Blackmore, who could do no wrong last season. Manella Indo just edging it from Clanner's Oboe at 3-1, coming here for his first start of the season. Chantry House, of course, the most unexposed runner in the field, is 9-2. Frodon betting to repeat those heroics from last season at 6-1. Asterion Falange at 13-2. Lost in translation at 14s. Tornado Flyer at 20s with St Calvados. And the outsider of the lot is Mr Fisher, who I don't have the price on my screen. But I certainly an outside chance for Nicky Henderson and Sean Bowen. The poll at home for who's going to win the King George. Clanders Oboe 32% of you, Manella Indo 27%, Chantry House at 21%, 70% say any other horse here. Fascinating lineup. It really is a cracking lineup, this Rodders, for the King George. We've got Gold Cup winners. Obviously, we've got previous King George winners in here. We've got unexposed novice chasers like Chantry House and Asterion Falange, who, let's be honest, have got tons of ability, have just the right kind of ratings level to get involved in this as unexposed chasers. Lost in translation, bouncing back to his best as well. It's a good little race.
Yeah, some years you go, oh, the King George, oh, it's not a great race. But this year, it's an absolutely fantastic race.
Yeah.
We've got a Gold Cup winner, a dual King George winner,
Yep.
last year's King George winner. And that's just to mention three. We've got loads of Grade 1 winners in the race. Lost in translation, of course, was one Grade 1s. I just think it might not go to a Grade 1 horse yet. I think this could be the first Grade 1 victory for Asterion Falange.
Okay.
Of course, I think he was massively unlucky last time out in the John Durkin chase at Punchestown when he was going to absolutely hose up, I think, and win by quite a way, but for unseating rider at the third last. Now, everyone going into that race was telling me that the best race of the whole season so far was the John Durkin chase. It was an absolute cracker. It's a fantastic race. Can't wait for it. Asterion Falange was going to blow this race apart. He was going to forget your Allahos and your Envoy LNs and all that. He was going to beat them senseless. He was going to beat them 15, 20 lengths, I think. And this track suits horses like him. I mean, he's 2.5 miler really, going up to 3 mile. He's got plenty of pace. Right-handed he has to go, doesn't he? Jumps right-handed. So he's a bit of a sort of talented, quirky kind of nutcase type of horse, isn't he?
Yeah. I think you're being a bit underestimating, a bit kind almost there. I'm not going to be unkind to him.
How could you be kind calling a horse a nutcase?
Yeah, fair enough. You don't hear what I get called by people, but yeah, he does. He has an incredible amount of ability. But
yeah.
I mean, it'd be
Yet
interesting
to really show it.
Yes,
But he was going to show it.
I mean, that's the question. Was he, or was he going to come off the bridle and find that Allaho kept finding? That's the only question, isn't it?
Cool.
When you've got a quirky, talented horse like that, was he going to do what it looked like he was going to do?
I think he was. I mean, look at the way that Allaho finished the race. I think he would have beaten him senseless. And if he had, maybe it wasn't the Allaho that won at Cheltenham, but even so, it would have been very high-class performance.
Yeah.
I think he's got a great chance, Asterion for Lunch.
Okay, 13-2 then, Asterion for Lunch, a talented nutcase. And that's the horse, not Graeme Rodway. But Paul Kealy, Asterion for Lunch. What's your thoughts on him?
I mentioned we spoke to Patrick Mullins earlier on this season, and he said stop some of his races at 3 out. You'd think he'd be winning all of them as well.
Yeah.
And he says he's disappointed in him far more often than not to think that he's a proper Grade 1 horse. That was what he said. To me, it did look like he was going to win, but you don't know what he's going to do. If he comes under pressure, he starts jumping violently right. He's actually a superb jumper when he gets it right. I can see him being the danger, but I do think this is a case of everyone's over complicating things again, and Clanders Oboe just wins. He's the best staying chaser in Britain. He's as good as anything in Ireland. He proved that when beating Albin Photo last season. He has been primed purely for this race this year, not messing about with running on every ground at Haydock beforehand. That's what Paul Nicholls blamed himself for last time, and of course he sat out the back when Frodon got the easy lead that is unlikely this time. And putting the cheek pieces on, he just looked absolutely top class again last year. He was better than ever for his last 2 starts. He won that Aintree race by 20 odd lengths, and he then came out and beat Albin Photo. He was always in control that day. He loves Kempton. He's won the race twice. He will just win it again. I cannot understand for the life of me the love for Chantry House. Really can't get that at all. If he was in a handicap, he'd get me £13 off Manila Endo, £10 off Clanders Oboe.
Okay,
he probably would have been beaten by Esprada Rome at Aintree. Esprada Rome would be 33s if it was running in this race. And of course, he had a match against a clumsy old plodder called the Big Breakaway on his return at Sandown. He doesn't have the form in the book to be anywhere near the price he is, and I cannot have him at all. Manila Indo, don't think wants to go right-handed, 1 from 6 right-handed, better in the spring. Has only once run an RPR above 170, and that was in the Gold Cup, which is a place he often loves. Horses that really like Cheltenham tend not to be as effective at Kempton, don't they? We've seen that over the years loads of times. And it's everything. It's all the balls are in Clanders Oboe's court as far as I'm concerned, and I think he'll just win.
Clanders Oboe, I mean, every year they run Clanders Oboe and say he comes on for his run. He hasn't won first night since 2015.
Yeah,
this year they've completely turned that around.
They said exactly the same about Surname before he beat Altior. I mean, this is Paul Nicholls, who's got the best, some of the best facilities of any trainer in Britain or Ireland, and he will know, he knows how to get a horse drilled. He's primed him absolutely for this race, a bit like he did with Grenadine for the Tingle Creek. Everybody ignored that and he bolted up. This is.
Will they ignore this
He's
one?
going for his 13th. Well, he's 3-1. He should be 6-4.
Do you think he'll drift? I think he might drift.
I think he might drift as well. Yeah, and I'll be going in again. Yeah.
I mean, he should have won this race. I mean, he did everything that could go wrong for a horse in a top class race. It went wrong, didn't he? And he still managed to.
Yeah, he still managed to finish. He still managed to finish third. And he probably wasn't at his best. Frodon was rock hard fit when he beat Manila and Indo at Down Royal. He might be the one that leaves his race behind this time. Yeah, I mean, if there is a danger, it might be Asterion for Longe, but I mean, I must admit, Patrick Mullins did put me off. He sounds like he's not particularly fun.
Yeah, but what does he know? What does he know?
Well, he's ridden it a few times. What does he know? I love that.
Yeah, I mean, Asterion for Longe, and I mean, I'm going to stand up for Chantry House here because, so I know you say...
It's a price thing. It's simply a price thing.
No, it's fair. You say he hasn't got the form in the book, right? So Clanders Oboe, Might Bite, Long Run, all similar kind of profiles, ages when they came in and won this race. What do you think they were rated when they came into this?
Probably something similar.
Yeah, Clanders Oboe was 160, Might Bite was 162, Long Run was 162, and they came in and they found this was their day where they found their form. And I am slightly, I was on him at Cheltenham, and there's a slight head and heart thing. And I know what you mean about the Espada Rome thing. It looked like he was struggling to get on terms with him, but he just seems like a horse who I think rattling around here over 3 miles. He's got that cruising speed to lie up with them. I mean, Asterion for Longe to me, they are similar types of horses, except one is just significantly more straightforward than the other, and he's sort of 5 from 6 over fences, Chantry House. He's won both his starts, went Upton Trip. He's a Grade 1 winner. He was a really good hurdler as well. I think Chantry House this is his day to prove himself.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, Clanders Oboe was 12s though.
Yeah.
And Chantry House is probably running against better horses than Clanders Oboe ran against. And he's 9-2. That's what gets me. I mean, Might Bite was 6-4, but when you look at the race that he won fell apart with Thistle Crack and Bristol Dumas.
I'm just saying in terms of where it's this.
Yeah, in terms of ratings of where he was, but I think he's running against better horses than than Clanders Oboe ran against, and he's less than half the price of that Clanders Oboe went off. So it just
That's the thing with Clanders
prices don't get
Oboe,
me.
though, isn't it? That's the thing with Clanders Oboe. Like, there's this thing in the back of my mind with Clanders Oboe just says he's won 2 weak King Georges and he didn't win it last year when I thought he had a huge chance. And this is the best King George that he has raced in his whole life. So I'm not saying
we
he's
haven't
not
even
going to
talked
win.
about Manila Indo.
No.
We barely mentioned the favourite here, so
But
we
this
need
is
to
his
talk about
toughest
Manila
test. This is Clanders Oboe's toughest
I would
test.
say that, you know, on official ratings, the race that he won at 12-1 when beating Thistlecrack, when Native River was in there, 876.
But he is 9 now. Clanders Oboe, you know, every
but
horse.
he's 9, but he's also 9, but coming in off 2 of the best runs of his life. I mean, he's, you know, to me, he's the best horse in the race.
And age has never been an issue in the King George. Cactus Star won at 11, Desert Orchid won at a ripe old age, didn't he? I think the concern for me, and this is interesting, right? I look back, in my mind, I always thought the King George, every horse that wins this race comes in off a prep, if not more than one run. And I went back through, I got very bored and went all the way back through to Desert Orchid 1986. Couldn't go any further. Not one King George winner since 1986, and probably long way before that, has won this race on its seasonal debut. And I know that's a stat that can be broken. I know that they're going to break it. It'll be Paul Nicholls. But he's trained 12 winners in this race. Every one of them had at least one prep run.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting, 1, to find out how many horses went in there without having a break, and 2, how many horses deliberately went out there without having a break, whereas this one has.
Yeah.
This is that Brian. Brian.
No, I agree. And I think it's just a concern. I mean, you've got 3 in the race. Mr. Fisher, St. Calvados, Clanders Oboe, running on seasonal debut. I mean, look, I suppose the school of thought, generally, this is a tough race, a top-class race. Generally, you thought of the idea of being conditioned, having a prep. But like I say, I mean, look, Clanders Oboe could win and it'll blow that. But listen, it'll be an achievement, won't it, to have won the race on seasonal debut when no horse has. As far as I can say, I can't find a horse who's won on seasonal debut.
Yeah, a viewer at home who does his own stats and trends, and Brian Galt, he's fantastic with them, sent me, I think he said 11 runners without a prep run in the past 21 years, none of them won. Waiting patiently, Kingscliff and Our Vic have all placed. But none of them have actually won, and a few of those were trained by Paul Nicholls as well. I think it was 3 or 4 to be exact. Q-Card and Quarter have won this race after being beaten in it, though. So Clanders Oboe, it's not one of those races where you can't come back and retain the title, as it were. Other horses, just to quickly throw into it. Lost in Translation, of course, bounced back, not necessarily to his best last time out, but he was certainly involved. Quick word for Tornado Flyer as well. Every time I see this horse run in a Grade 1 event, I think, please step him up to 3 miles. I know he ran at Leopardstown last year over 3 miles. But if there's a horse who can run on into a place, I think it might be Tornado Flyer.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I think he's probably found his level, but he might eke out a few extra pounds because he's always finishing. He finished again in the John Durkin, didn't he? So, he might be able to eke out a few more pounds, but he needs to eke out a lot to win.
Yes.
But by the same token, as there is every year, some of these horses are going to run way below form.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know who they are yet. Like, but I'm banking on it being Chantry House myself. but we don't know. But I'll be back in Clanders Oboe. I'll be place laying Chantry House, and I couldn't put you off Tornado Flyer making the frame.
Okay.
Well, can I say? What about Frodon? I mean, I know you've talked about possibly being hard fit last time. We've hardly talked about Frodon. This is a race which consistently goes to repeat winners. He's always looked like a 3 miler at this track in this race, and he turns up last year and wins it. I mean, he did beat Manila Endo, at Down Royal. Why can't he just come out and win again?
Well, I mean, I believe Clanders Oboe is a much better horse, and he won't sit right off the back of him this time like he did last year. That is the way I'm looking at it. Once they put the cheek pieces on, they realised that they don't have to hold him up. And he made much of the run. He hit the front a long way out at Aintree and basically made the run in the Punchestown. So he isn't going to be that far off him this time. And I think quality-wise, he's a better horse. Love Frodon. I mean, you can't hold anything against him. But his number one target was giving Manila Indo a hard race at Down Royal, which is what he did. They got him absolutely hard fit for that. And won it. And again, Manila Endo has it to prove this time of year, this way round. Yeah. And on track, I mean, one run after winning the Gold Cup, the trainers put cheek pieces on. Well, he's got to have his concerns about the track if he's doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't harm Clanders Oboe popping the cheek pieces on, did it? As he vaulted up at Aintree Rodders. But you've just sat there quite quietly since the Asterion. You're just in the Astorian for lunch camp, and you're more than happy with it, aren't you?
Well, I'm happy with Asterion for lunch. I mean, I get the Clandezo argument, but I'll be disappointed if he wins this race. I think this is his toughest test by some way, and we'll see.
Okay. Quick selections from people at home. Jive Turkey says he wouldn't back Frodon at any price. Dante agrees with me. Thank you, Dante, for the first time. Michael Bimpson, Manella Indo for him. Tough Horse Frodon says Andrew. And just looking for words, singing to myself as I try and find other selections. And Manella Indo and Frodon for David Moffat. God, I was going to read that out, but I'm not going to read that bit out. But thanks, Lachinsky. That made me laugh privately on a live show. That's what makes good TV, isn't it?
Who's he slagged off?
He's not slagged off anyone, but I thought we'd try and get through some of the Christmas period without mentioning the pandemic. Oh, no, we've ruined it. Now, selections for a fantastic King George, Paul Kealy.
Clan all the way.
There you go, Clanders over for Paul Kealy. Graeme Rodway.
Yeah, White Christmas again. Asturian for Longe.
Asturian for Longe it is. I will go with Chantry House, and I'm going to try and convince Keels to give me a slightly bigger price that I can find anywhere else. Maybe buy him a pound afterwards. Simon?
I'm gonna back Frodon. I think it might even get to become a bit bigger price. Obviously, I'm hoping Lost in Translation could run well for the team we sponsor, the Tizard team, and for Paul Taylor, Richard O'Dwyer are good guys, but it looks to me a bit like he's not really a Kempton horse, even if there are excuses for his last two runs in the race. But he's certainly very well, and the Tizards are quite bullish of a much better showing.
Lovely stuff. Okay, fantastic King George. Now let's hope it lives up to the hype on paper. Final race at Kempton on Boxing Day is a handicap hurdle over 2 miles and 5 furlongs, where Antayer is 7-2 favourite. Heros de Soil is 4-1 with Our Surprise. 11-2 Wheel of the Cotswolds, 13-2 Marie's Rock, 10-1 Echo and On to Victory, and 16-1 and Bigger the Rest. Now we're going to talk about the Welsh Grand National in a bit of the 27th as well. So let's just stick to selections here. Paul Kealy, the final race at Kempton. What's the pick?
Yeah, I'm going to take a chance. He's a bit of an old rogue over hurdles compared to his flat ability, but On to Victory is very well handicapped. Now he's going up in trip. It's quite interesting.
Okay, there we go. On to Victory is currently a 10-1 shot. Graeme Rodway?
Yeah, I'm with the hat-trick seeker, Earl of the Cotswolds. Won quite a decent race at Wetherby 2 runs ago, followed up last time at Newbury, I think it was.
Yeah, it was a very impressive time, I thought, Earl of the Cotswolds, and he won that really well. I agree with Mr. Rodway. Simon?
Yeah, if I got two horses here, I've noted that Earl of Cotswolds, who's run well at tracks like Market Raise and really impressive at Newbury. I think you'll love Kempton. He's going to go well, and On to Victory. Similarly, I've just noted that all his flat form was 1 mile 4, 1 mile 6, which tends to point to a 2.5 miler, and they haven't run him over 2.5 miles since his novice days. So looking quite well handicapped now. I thought On to Victory might run well. So I like both of them each way. So we're all on the same horses.
I thought he was making notes there.
Yeah, so what you do is
I must have scribbled them pretty quickly.
What you're saying is you basically didn't look at the race and you just thought you'd jump in at the end, yeah?
Look, I can show you. Earl of Cotswolds and On to Victory.
We can't read a word of that. That's a shopping list. If that's not a Christmas shopping list, I don't know what is. But okay, there we go then. Earl of the Cotswolds and On to Victory for the finale at Kempton on Boxing Day. And like I said, the Christmas period is fantastic from Boxing Day all the way through to the New Year. And on the 27th, of course, we've got some interesting action from Kempton and Jep. So a quick word on the Desert Orchid Chase as well. Shishkin 1-2. Grenadine 13-8 at the moment. Fernambules Savola is 6-1, 8-1 Sky Pirate, 12-1 before midnight. For this race, be good to get Shishkin back. It'd be a cracking little handicap chase. This won't it, Paul?
Yeah, if it was a handicap, it'd be a right crack.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It feels exactly like a handicap, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think a lot of them will be hovering over the entries at 9:57, saying what happens here. It would be interesting to see. They're all my favourite horses, pretty much. Like, I like a lot of them. We'd love to see Shishkin come out and win, but a word of warning for anyone thinking of getting in short. Nick Henderson managed to get both Altior and Sprinter Sacre beaten in this race after coming here on the back of setbacks. So, and I think it's quite plain that he did have setbacks. So you just wait and see. And obviously Paul Nicholls is in there waiting to pick up the prize money with Grenadine, who may well have had a pretty hard race in the Tingle Creek and might not be at his best either. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Okay, yeah.
I like Fernambules, by the way. I think it's very good and probably 2 mile 4 furlong of the People Chase was too far.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the air of a horse, Fernambules who was he was asked to progress a little bit too quick. He was like, he's no longer a handicapper. He's not quite ready for that top level, and he's only 6. It could be Venetia could have a good festive period.
Yeah, he sort of finished down the field in a handicap at Sandown last year that worked out really well, won by also Dan Skelton's.
Elnadam.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Elnadam. I think before midnight might actually have been second in that race from memory. And Kills has got this right. This could be a really good race for a bet because Shishkin, we know that everything's not gone right for him. The green team would have been absolutely bang on for that Tingle Creek, and this is coming up fairly quickly afterwards, which then leaves you with 3 at big prices who could all win. I'd be tempted to back before midnight just because I like the way he jumps around Kempton. I could see him getting a nice sort of easy up there and going along and winging his way around and winning. Of course, that is all dependent that Shishkin either doesn't run or isn't at his best, because if Shishkin is anywhere near his best or runs, he'll just win, won't he?
Yeah, I mean, the rest won't be even in the picture, will they?
Before midnight, I'll be back in the car park 3 furlongs out as Shishkin passes the line.
So turn into the home straight. Yeah, see you later, mate. Thanks ever so much. So, it could be 2 very different races, but let's hope Shishkin makes it back to the track and the cotton wool is taken off, as it were, for the Desert Orchid Chase at Kempton on the 27th. Just going to see which race comes up next because
like pot luck, isn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be that one, but it is. Okay, yeah, fair enough. It's the Coral Finale Juvenile Hurdle, of course, at Chepstow as well. That's also on the 27th. Forever Blessed is 5-2 at the moment. Porticello 3-1. Skycutter 5. Magistrato 6. 8-1. Copmask and Saint Seagull 8-1. A few of you last week were probably saying that. 10-1 Parliament Hill and 12-1 and Bigger the Rest if you're here for this race. What's the juvenile that's impressed you the most that could well line up in the finale, Graeme?
There'd be the Fav, Forever Blessed. I mean, this horse jumps really well for a juvenile. He's really slick. His hurdles very fast and won tidily at Sandown last time out by quite a long way. And, sometimes you have like these trainers who you think, their horses go well in really testing ground. Venetia Williams, obviously most people know that. But I always think Harry Fry's seem to really handle testing conditions well. I expect, as usual, at Chepstow, they're going to get plenty of rain, so they'll probably be quite tested there by the time they come here. I think Forever Blessed to win.
Okay, Forever Blessed then could well be the best of the bunch for Harry Fry and Graeme Rodway there. Keels?
Yeah, I mean, you can like the way Forever Blessed went clear after the last. I mean, obviously, he's a strong stayer. I thought it was probably a rubbish race. I think a lot of the juvenile races have been. I am drawn again, and it is a topical name, Saint Seagull. I'm drawn to a horse that has raced only once in his life and on RPRs as comparable to the best in here, yet has far less experience. And he took the last 2 really well at Bangor when he won. And again, it's Jane Williams rather than Nick Williams. Nick Williams had in turn DeCivilla, who won the Triumph Trial at Cheltenham after having had just 1 previous run in his life. They come on a hell of a lot from these yards, these youngsters. And I think this horse might be quite decent, and he definitely wants a test at the trip. So I think 10-1's a big price.
Okay, there we go.
Or 8-1, whatever it is.
Yeah, 8-1 he is now. Yeah, I was quite interested in Skycutter here. I mean,
that was the other one for me as well, yeah.
Yeah, All Mankind won this a couple of seasons ago, and almost a similar type Skycutter. I think once you get to the spring, these kind of free-going horses early on who just destroy their opposition from the front, they eventually get found out. But I think at this time of the year, it could be quite hard to peg Skycutter back. Yeah,
and of course he doesn't mind soft ground because he was close up in the November handicap, wasn't he, on the flat? Yeah. And he had plenty of soft ground form in France.
Yeah, absolutely, and rated in the 90s, so definitely got plenty of quality. What's the market saying, Simon?
Yeah, I mean, Forever Blessed is the 5-2 favourite, Porticello's second favourite. I mean, it's we obviously sponsor the race. I sponsored it for a long time, and this looks like it could be the strongest lineup, certainly numerically. That we've ever had, actually. And I mean, it's a race which throws us with great horses. Adagio won last year, All Mankind, Defi de Soy a few years ago before winning the Triumph. Bristol de Mai won the race. It's even when it's a small field, it's quite select and high quality. But looks a corker this year. I thought Saint Seagull and Forever William at bigger prices looked interesting. But we'll see how the market develops over the next few days, and we'll see the decks obviously on Boxing Day. And clearly, we'll also see about the weather. It's interesting at the moment. It looks like being the best ground we've ever had for the Coral Welsh Grand National on that Chepstow card, albeit there is some rain forecast. So we'll see whether it does turn into the usual heavy soft ground test, or whether maybe it would be good to soft ground at Chepstow, which would be unheard of.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I think the bar for best ground at Chepstow on the 27th is pretty deep. That it's the Coral Finale Juvenile Hurdle. Then let's hope we get an impressive winner to go to war with. And the big race, of course, on the 27th. Simon, is of course the Coral Welsh Grand National, where Secret Reprieve hasn't been seen since I was going to say this time last year, but of course it wasn't, was it? It was January this year. He's 9-2 to win it again. Highland Hunter 6-1. The Big Dog 6-1. Hold That Taut 7s. Dacia Arbor is 12-1 with Hill 16, and I Will Do It in Mighty Thunder. Wide open betting heat as ever. Paul Kealy, you said this is one of your favourite races of the Christmas period.
Yeah, I love a big field handicap, don't you? And when you look at what you see at Kempton and all that, the one race you guaranteed a nice decent field is the Coral Welsh National. So yeah, I love it. I've backed the winner a few times. I certainly didn't back Secret Reprieve last year. I thought he was too short. He's probably too short again, although he would have won off this mark last year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's only £6 higher, but it cannot have been the plan to put him away and not run for a year. You know what I mean? So he must have had some sort of setback. We know that Peter Fay's been singing the praises of the Big Dog, but I keep looking at this race and I keep telling myself Elegant Escape is potentially thrown in on a mark of 156.
Yeah.
He was a very, very decent horse a couple of seasons ago. And he actually went off 9-4 favourite for this race in 2019 off a mark of 160, having been third of 24 in the Ladbrokes Trophy before that. And he comes in off 156, but not just 156. Native River is in the race, which means he only carries 11 stone 2 instead of what he carried 11 stone 12 last year. And I just think he's been teed up for this race. Obviously, he had 600 odd days off, and then returned in a 2-mile handicap hurdle at Sandown. I mean, this horse never run over 2 miles before in his entire life. And surprise, surprise, he got badly outpaced when they went down the back. But he didn't half fly up the straight from out the rear. I mean, he looked like he was going to be beaten a furlong. He was only beaten 21 lengths in the end. And I think that showed that he's still got plenty of ability. In fact, on RPRs, it was £1 off his best ever hurdle.
Yeah, I was just looking at that, thinking that is a big number. That because it was a mark of 146 over 2 miles over hurdles for him is totally unrealistic because he's just not a 2-miler. But he absolutely flew, and I think 20-1's a massive price. I can see him being the one that halves in price come the day. Okay, yeah, Elegant Escape, who, of course, will like the Giant Ground. That's another thing for Secret Reprieve, isn't it, Graeme? I mean, this horse was relishing testing conditions last year. He's going to get very different conditions this time around, and he's taken a lot of the market here for the Welsh National.
Yeah, I have a feeling he might drift on the day. That was a pretty good case, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was sitting there thinking, that'll probably win.
It happen. I mean,
every
time Keels makes if we backed every one that Keels made a case like that for, then we'd back them all, I think.
He was coming in trying to make this. I had this great argument for the Big Dog, and I was just sitting there going, maybe I should just tip Elegant Escape, like Simon did just a minute ago. Get the old.
Oh, come on!
No, I'm gonna back the Big Dog, purely because he trained in Ireland by Peter Fahey, who thinks he was going to run an absolutely massive race. Pretty much said he's going to win the race a couple of weeks ago. I remember Michael Winters, was it, or Mick Winters, saying pretty the same about Chatham Street Lad when he won a race at Cheltenham last year. He said he'll win this race, and he won by an absolute mile. They seem to know the time of day with this horse as well, because last year when he ran at Punchestown, he was pretty much one of the gambles of the whole season. They punted him like he could not lose. He was back to all rates down to 5-2 favourite, and he made an almighty mistake at a crucial stage in the race. And I thought there's absolutely no way he can win now, and he still came through and won the race. I was just like, Christ, they really knew that horse was well treated. And he's had 2 runs since. I'd like to know how many times he'd been up the gallops before the first one. I reckon he was in desperate need of the run. Second time out was just a prep run for this. I just think he's absolutely laid out for the race, as if he just stands out like a big light bulb, doesn't he? Back me, back me, back me for the Welsh National. He is the big plot job in the race. I think he'll go off favourite. I think they'll punt him like they did at Punchestown. And as long as he doesn't make a clattering almighty mistake like he did at Punchestown, which is possible, he's a clumsy jumper, particularly of hurdles. He seems to give his fences a bit more respect. But as long as he
be
doesn't,
much fitter as well, so that makes the jumping
easier.
it
Helps, doesn't it? If you've been up the gallops a few times. And I expect that he will be very, very difficult to beat. I think he'll go off a short price favourite and win.
Okay, there we go. I feel that Graeme took the the gauntlet laid down by Keels into making a good case for in this race, and thought, I'm going to run with it, because that was just as good with the big dog. I can't make as good a case for Hold That Taut by any stretch of the imagination, but I thought Venetia had a cracking chance with this. A 6-year-old, an unexposed 6-year-old. We've had Native River and various others win this race as 6-year-olds. Elegant Escape, of course, was a 6-year-old and a few placed in the last few years as well. So a young, unexposed chaser with course form. I think the way he ran here at this track earlier on in the season, when he was trying to chase an incredibly well handicapped horse in Ross Brierley, I think he will have a leading chance off a featherweight. So Hold That Taut could be interesting for Venetia Williams. There's 3 big cases for you, Simon. Do you have any of your own, or are we just playing repeat on those 3?
No, listen. I mean, I'm thrilled actually. Again, hearing the case being made, it's a great betting race. We sponsored this race since 1973. It's it's insane how long we've been involved with it. And Native River makes the race. To have a horse, a Gold Cup winner, a previous winner of the race at the top weight, carrying 11-12. Only, he won off 11-12 in 2016. Carvel's Hill. I watched that race again, which is a race well worth watching on YouTube, just to see the way he galloped a top class field into submission in 1990 off 11-12, and Bonanza Boy won off 11-11. But those are the 3 real weight-carrying performances in history, and Native River's going to have to try and do it again. He's still carrying the same weight as 5 years ago, but obviously giving plenty away, and he's a good bit older now. So I think he'll run well. I mean, the Tizard team are really bullish. They took the horses to Lark Hill to work on Monday. Dave Stevens went down and filmed it. I think we'll be putting a piece of content up on our social channels tomorrow, showing those gallops at Lark Hill, the point-to-point course. And so Elegant Escape and Native River are going really well. I think they're really bullish about Elegant Escape. But, that was an extraordinary run over 2 miles over hurdles, and they're expecting a big run for him. But yeah, listen, I mean, it's difficult as a sponsor. I'm just so pleased to see such a deep competitive race. We've got Irish Raiders. We've got a horse from Scotland in Mighty Thunder who won the Scottish National. Loads of depth. The last year's winner, Secret Reprieve, running obviously a favourite at the moment, and just looking forward to a really good race. And just such a shame that we're going to have no crowd there. I really gutted for the second year running. No huge Welsh crowd, no Welsh national anthem being sung. It's such a fantastic race meeting to go to, even though it's usually freezing, just to sort of get that sort of that Welsh national feel, And so gutted for the team at Chepstow. They won't have a crowd there, but it'll be a great race. Everyone will be able to watch it on telly, and I'm hoping for a big winner.
Absolutely. The Coral Welsh Grand National then coming up on the 27th, and Simon has volunteered to sing the Welsh National Anthem via live stream just before the race. So
it's a great anthem.
It is a great anthem. I can't wait to hear your rendition, Simon. But what wins the Welsh Grand National, Paul Kealy?
Elegant Escape stands out of the prices for me.
Graeme Rodway?
I'm with the big dog.
The big dog it is. I'll go with Hold That Taut. Simon Clare?
I've backed both the Tizard runners, Native River and Elegant Escape. I'd like them both to run well. I think they will. I think they'll both be bang there towards the end.
Lovely stuff. That's just about it then. That just about brings it to an end. We've pretty much been in the know to the end for the year as well. Thanks ever so much for everyone for joining us, not just tonight but throughout the year as well. It's been all things considered outside of racing, it's been a fantastic year and we've really enjoyed doing the show. But what we need before we go, of course, is a Christmas nap. Of which there will be many over the next few days, I'm sure. But what are the best bets of the panel over the next few days? Starting off with Graeme Rodway, what is the nap of the festive period for you?
I just had to find it, actually, because it's a real obscure one.
Right, OK.
The best bet of the whole Christmas period is in the 3:45 at Wincanton. It's a bumper race, the last race at Wincanton, and it is called Shallow River. It was bought for £66,000 out of a Furler's bumper. Was trained by Megs Mullins. Ran well there. First time out for the yard, Fergal O'Brien absolutely stormed home to finish fourth in a good bumper from which the third, who was 150 to 1 that day, has since come out and won a listed mare's bumper at Huntingdon. And you will not see a horse finish much stronger than the way this one did. I think he'll have a bit closer to the pace this time, this Shallow River. Big field, strong pace. And I always think at Wincanton, in that period between like the second last hurdle and the last, the race really changes and these stayers get into it. And I think Shallow River is the outstanding bet of the whole Christmas period. 3:45 Wincanton on Boxing Day, 26th December.
OK, lovely stuff. I must say, please do gamble responsibly as well, because 3:45 at Wincanton, it can be that's about 7,000 races into Boxing Day, I think, isn't it? So, but that is a curveball for others. Love it, absolutely love it. The 3:45 at Wincanton. Then Paul Kealy.
Yeah, I mean, other than Clan in the King George, the Racing Post Novice Chase at Leopardstown on the 26th. I think Fernie Hollow has a monster task on his hand trying to give £13 to Riviere de Tel, who has not touched a twig or come off the bridle in winning all 3 of her chases. She ran to an RPI of 153 last time and won with her head in her chest. And if she repeats that, to give her £13, he's got a borderline 170 on his second start over fences. All right, he might be an absolute superstar, but crikey, if you ask me which one's got the best form at those weights, it's Riviere de Tel, and she's the outsider of the 2, and she jumps like a stag, so she's it for me.
Okay, there we go. A few outside of the box there. Simon Clare, what's the nap for you?
I'll go to Market Raisin, the 2:15. The reason Tom Scudamore's riding up at Market Raisin is Sidi Ismail, the horse who David Pipes won his first 2 starts since moving Kealy yard, and he's bullish of the hat-trick win there in that staying chase.
Okay.
Be around 5-1.
Thank you very much, Simon Clare. I feel a bit dull, but partly I also just want to say Chancery House for the King George as well.
Ridiculous.
Primarily for that reaction from Paul Kealy. This is, but I'm pretty sure Keel's had exactly the same reaction when I said that Chancery House would win at Cheltenham as well. So
yeah, you did. Yeah.
So
yeah, you were right.
There we go. So let's hope that he goes in again. Chancery House will come of age in the King George 2021. Thank you ever so much for everyone for watching. Jive Turkey, thank you ever so much. Kieran Catterson, good evening to you. Alan Keane, Damon Moffat, Paul Bakewell, everyone who's watched. A very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you. Like and subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And we'll be back for more. I think it's the 14th of January, Simon Clare, I do believe. We'll be back for the next In the Know.
Yes, we're sponsoring the Lanzarote meeting at Kempton. The Coral have picked up the gauntlet there. We actually put it up to £100,000 prize money with the Jockey Club. It was run at 45 grand last year, and we've put some more money into the Silvagnac Conti. So hopefully we're going to get a good feel. I should just quickly mention a couple of In the Know specials because I've been remiss. We've got Paul Nicholls to train the winner of the King George, 6-4 from 5-4. He's got the 3 runners. We've got Ebertonti and Not So Sleepy to finish first and second in either order. That's 6-4 from 5-4. And the final one, Brave Man's Game and Clanders Oboe, both to win. The double was 6-1, now 8-1. So there we go. Should have mentioned them during the show, but I've done it now.
You have indeed. My producer's told me 4 times so far, and I still managed to forget, so it's not just you, Simon. But a very Merry Christmas to you. Paul Kealy, very Merry Christmas. Good luck finishing the job tomorrow night.
You too, yeah, it's going to be a long one.
It is very long, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Say hello to the reindeer for me. And Rodders, good luck getting a bet on with the kids running around the house.
Yeah, I'll be doing my best. Yeah, Merry Christmas to everyone. Merry Christmas to all the viewers. I can't wait for Boxing Day, but Christmas Day first, isn't it?
It is. That's how time works. Thank you, Graeme Rodway. Thank you to all our producers outside as well for keeping the show on the road. Very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll see you for 2022. It's going to be a good one, I'm sure. I'm absolutely sure. It's got to be, hasn't it?
We said that last year.